Hey guys, welcome back to the top 5 ultra super rare and valuable Washington quarter dollars. In today's deep dive, we're uncovering the jaw-dropping secrets of these Washington quarter, one of the most intriguing and valuable coins in American history. This is a tale of rarity, mystery, and the kind of value that can change a life. What if I told you that a 1979 quarter, one you might have ignored or tossed into a change jar, could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars? That's right, in today's hunt for hidden treasures, we're exposing the rare and valuable 1979 Washington quarter errors. These coins might look ordinary, but trust me, they've got secrets. Background: minted at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D mint mark. Standard clad composition: copper nickel outer layer over a copper core. Over 489 million of these quarters were made, making it a very common date overall. But it's the errors and anomalies that make specific 1979 quarters exciting. Most valuable 1979 Washington quarter errors. 1979 off-center strike. Off-center strikes between 10% to 60% can fetch $50 to $300 and even more in high grades. 1979 double die obverse, very rare. Not officially listed in all major varieties, but some strong doubling examples have sold for $100, $500, especially with PCGS or NGC certification. 1979 broad strike error, value $50 to $200, depending on condition. 1979 clipped planchette, value $30, $150 plus, especially with clean clips and visible dates. 1979 struck on a wrong planchette. These can be worth $1,000 to $3,000 plus, especially if graded. 1979 die breaks cuds. Collectors love these anomalies. Small cuds, $25, $75. Large or dramatic cuds, $100, $300 plus. How to spot a 1979 error quarter. Here's what to look for when checking your change. Examine the date and mint mark. Look for anything off, especially doubling, misalignment, or weak strikes. Check the edges. A smooth edge no reading could indicate a broad strike or wrong planchette. Weigh the coin. Normal 1979 quarter weight, 5.67 grams. A lighter or heavier weight might mean it was struck on the wrong planchette. Use magnification. A 10x loupe or digital microscope helps spot small doubling, cuts, or die cracks. Certification and grading. If you think you've got something special, submit it to PCGS, NGC, or NX for authentication. Graded coins almost always sell for more. Our collectors trust certified errors. Auction prices and real sales. Off-center strike 40%, sold for $180. Clipped planchette, sold for $125. Struck on dime planchette, sold for $2,750. Broad strike miss 6.5, sold for $160. Minor double die with grading, sold for $300. So next time you're digging through your change, don't just glance at that 1979 quarter. Give it a closer look, because what you thought was worth 25 cents could be hiding a collector's dream. Got an interesting quarter you want help identifying? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss out on the next hidden coin treasure. 1982, a year that brought us big hair, cassette tapes, and a quarter worth thousands of dollars. That's right, the 1982 Washington quarter has a shocking secret, and some error versions of this coin are selling for hundreds, even thousands of dollars today. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just curious what's in your pocket, this is one coin you don't want to overlook. Let's dive into the amazing world of the 1982 error quarter. Background: minted at the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the P mint mark. It's part of the clad series, copper nickel composition with no silver. Over 500 million were minted, so it's common, but errors and varieties are not. What makes the 1982 quarter so important? It was struck during a time of major change at the U.S. Mint. A transitional year for U.S. coins, the early 1980s were a time of economic strain and cost-cutting at the U.S. Mint. As a result, quality control dropped, and more error coins slipped into circulation. On top of that, 1982 and 1983 quarters were never released in mint sets, meaning uncirculated examples are much harder to find. Top 1982 Washington quarter errors worth big money. 1982 no mint mark or weak mint mark. These are usually weak strikes, but some are entirely missing. Not always a huge value boost, but in pristine condition these can fetch $25, $150 plus. 1982 double die obverse DDO. Value depends on visibility and grade. Moderate doubling, $50 to $100. Strong doubling in high grade, $500, $1,000 plus. 1980 to P off-center strike. Value depends on how far off the strike is and if the date is still readable. 10 to 20% off, $50, $100, 40 to 60% off, $200, $500 plus. 1980 to P broad strike. Values typically range from $30, $150 plus. 1980 to P clipped planchette. Value depends on size and placement of the clip. Small clip, $25, $75. Large or double clip, $100 to $150. 1980 to P struck on the wrong planchette. Authenticated examples have sold for $1,000, $3,000 plus. How to spot valuable 1980 to P quarter errors. Check the following. Mint mark area, missing, or faint P is a clue. Lettering and date. Use a loupe or microscope to check for doubling. Edges. Smooth edges could mean a broad strike. Weight. A normal 1980 to quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If it's way under or over, it's worth investigating. Auction prices for rare 1980 to P quarter errors. Here are some real-world sales. 1980 to P double die obverse in MS63, sold for $785. 198 to P off-center strike, 50%, sold for $460. Struck on a dime planchette, sold for $2,300. Broad strike MS64, sold for $135. Why 1980 to quarters are so underrated? No mint sets for 1982 or 1983 equals fewer pristine examples. Quality control issues equals more errors, escape the mint. Most people overlook these coins, so they can still be found in circulation today. Tips for collectors and sellers. Always weigh your coin and inspect it under magnification. What if I told you there's a 1983 quarter floating around that's worth not just hundreds, but potentially thousands of dollars? Today, we're unlocking the secrets behind the rare 1983 P Washington quarter. From mint mistakes to missing mint marks, these coins could be sitting in your change jar right now. Stick around. This is one coin that shocked collectors for decades. Quick background, over 673 million 1983 P quarters were minted, so finding a rare one is like hunting for treasure in a sea of commons. But there were no mint sets released in 1983, so high-quality examples are far scarcer than you'd expect. The 1983 quarters, a collector's dilemma. Because of economic budget cuts, the U.S. Mint didn't produce official uncirculated sets in 1982 or 1983. This means most coins entered circulation and were heavily used, making uncirculated and error coins even more valuable today. Top 1983P error quarters that can be worth a fortune. 1983P double die reverse DDR, the star of the show. O condition, $200, $500, Ms. 65 and up, $1,000 to $1,000 plus. Known as FS801, formerly FS2519, 83P801 in coin catalogs. Off-center strike. Value depends on how far off-center it is and whether the date is fully visible. 10 to 20% off, $50, $150, 40 to 60% off with visible date, $300, $600. Broad strike, no rim or reeded edge, appears wider, flatter, and smooth-edged. These can sell for $50 to $200, especially in uncirculated condition. Struck on wrong planchette. Rare error where the quarter is struck on a planchette meant for a different coin like a nickel or dime. These are super valuable, often selling for $1,000 to $3,000 plus when authenticated and graded. Clipped planchette. A chunk of the coin is bitten off due to a misfeed during blank cutting. A clear, crescent-shaped clip with a visible date and mint mark can sell for $75 to $100. Why the 1983 P quarter is so underrated. No mint sets equals almost all coins were circulated equals harder to find in good shape. Error varieties slip through more often due to lower quality control. Until the DDR was discovered, most people ignored 1983 quarters. Now they're hot commodities. Actual auction prices for 1983 P quarter errors. Error type grade sale price double die reverse FS801 Ms. $65 $1,400 DDR raw. Lightly circulated $058 $375 off-center strike 40% XF to $150 wrong planchette nickel. To Australian dollars 100 broad strike 6 for $115. How to identify a valuable 1983 P quarter. Tools you'll need: 10x or 20x loupe or microscope. Precise scale. A quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. Wrong plankets vary. Good lighting and patience. What to look for. Strong doubling on the reverse, especially e pluribus unum. Off-center strike date must be visible for value. Edge with no ridges equals possible broad strike. Crescent bite out of the coin equals clipped planchette. Most people look at a 1969 quarter and think it's just loose change. But what if I told you some rare error versions of this coin could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars? In today's video, we're uncovering the mysterious and valuable 1969 Washington quarter errors. These are coins hiding in plain sight, and if you know what to look for, you might just strike gold. Key 1969 quarter errors to know. 1969 double die obverse DDO. Estimated value. In good condition, these can be worth $400 to $1,500 or more, depending on grade and demand. 1969 off-center strike. Value depends on percentage off-center. 10% off, $50, $150, 50% or more off, especially with full date visible. $300, $800 plus. 1969 broad strike. Value varies, usually $50 to $100, depending on condition. 1969 wrong planchette error. These are extremely rare and can fetch $1,000 plus if authenticated. Clipped planchette errors. These errors can range from $50 to $200, especially if multiple clips are present or if the date is fully visible. How to spot a valuable 1969 quarter. Key inspection tips. Use a 10x loupe or coin microscope. Look closely at the lettering and date. Doubling is key. Check the edges and alignment. Weigh it. A normal 1969 quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. Anything different could be a wrong planchette error. Certification matters. Send your suspected error coin to PCGS or NGC for grading and authentication. Graded coins not only prove authenticity, but also increase value at resale or auction. Market value and auction highlights. Here are a few real-world sales. 1969 double die obverse in AU58 condition. Sold for $1,200. Off-center strike 50%. Sold for $650. Broad strike with full rims. Auctioned at $175. Wrong planchette error on a dime planchette. Sold for $2,500. What if I told you that a simple quarter yes, a 25-cent coin could secretly be worth thousands, even millions of dollars? That buried deep in your pocket change or forgotten in an old drawer could be a coin so rare, so valuable, that collectors would pay a fortune just to get their hands on it. Stay tuned, because what you're about to discover could lead you straight to a jackpot hiding in plain sight. This is not just coin collecting, this is treasure hunting at its finest. The Washington quarter. A quick history. Before we dive into the rare 1965 error, we need to understand the coin's roots. The Washington quarter was first issued in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It replaced the Standing Liberty quarter, and its design by John Flanagan became iconic, featuring Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle with spread wings on the reverse. For decades, these quarters were made of 90% silver until a monumental shift happened in 1965. The rare mistake. Despite the official switch, some quarters were mistakenly struck on silver plankets blanks meant for 1964 or earlier coins. These are the famous 1965 silver error quarters coins that shouldn't exist, but somehow slipped through the cracks. Only a few dozen confirmed examples of the 1965 quarter struck on silver plankets exist. Every single one is extremely valuable, often auctioning for tens of thousands of dollars. $1,000,000 possibilities. Let's talk value. Not just hundreds, thousands, even more. A 1965 quarter error struck on a silver planchette sold for $7,050 in a heritage auction. Others have reached $12,000 to $16,000, depending on condition. One quarter, perfectly preserved and authenticated, was estimated between $25,000 to $35,000. But here's the kicker: experts believe ultra-rare varieties or undiscovered pristine examples could break 6 or even 7 figures if the right collector enters the ring. Other rare 1965 quarter errors. The silver planchette isn't the only game in town. Let's explore other rare and valuable 1965 quarter errors. Double die obverse DDO can be worth hundreds to thousands depending on severity and condition. Off-center strikes. High-grade examples can fetch $500 to $1,000 or more. Wrong planchette errors. These rare hybrid errors can be extremely valuable, some exceeding $5,000. The auction house effect. Once a rare error quarter reaches the auction floor, the gloves come off. Major houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have all sold 1965 errors. Bidding wars can break out. driving prices into unbelievable territory. Some auctions have seen bids soar from $500 to $20,000 plus in minutes.